certainly we've all seen embarrassing situations. Dr. Orton, you have a good one for
I've
us?
seen so many, I don't know where to begin. Probably one of the worst things, though, was a gentleman that came in with his nose whistling from having had too much fun with his nose, if you get it, before.
He's doing cocaine or something?
So every time he'd breathe in and go, and I mean, that was pretty embarrassing. I mean,
wow.
and when you look in his nose, you know what he'd been up to. And
Well, for me, in my office, it's usually about avoiding the embarrassing situations. With, kids are always trying to pee on me or poop on me, so I'll try to keep the diaper over the important areas, but literally the second I turn away, boom, I get hit.
I'm guessing with you, Lisa, you have to have had women that lost things or forgot things down there. I mean,
Well, and the thing of it is it's not embarrassing to me because it's things I see all the time.
well, that's
but
the
for
point for us.
women,
None of these
they'll
things
come in
are.
and they'll just go, I'm not sure, I got so busy, and there'll be a tampon there, or they'll come in for a vaginal discharge or vaginal odor, and there's actually something stuck in there. Then they're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's worse is if it's like, part of a condom, because then it's like, who was that condom with? And, then you got to check for STDs and pregnancy, and it gets really
but
complicated.
you keep a straight face through it, right?
Well, that's what I do. I'm there to help them.
I had a funny one happen. This wasn't embarrassing to me. It was actually embarrassing to the patient's dad. It was father-son in there for the son's checkup, and I'm doing all the checkup, and I get down to the privates, and I'm examining and talking about his parts, and then he goes, you know what? My dad has a really hairy penis. And, just out of the blue, And the dad's like, oh, okay.
Well, I actually believe people just need to get over their embarrassment. So, we were talking about the athlete's foot spray. Does it work for jock itch? So, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm struggling right now with a little... So... I'll let you know how it works out. I'm kidding, but we've got, I've got enemas up here, and in the emergency department, this is where a lot of the embarrassing questions begin, not in the enema package, but where the enema goes. And I cannot tell you how many embarrassing complaints I've had when people come to the emergency department and they're dealing with issues around their anal region. And one of the craziest stories, the guy was having itching down there, so he took one of those head massagers. You know what I'm talking about?
Like a scalp massager?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And he actually took it to
Trying
get
to
the
scratch
itch,
me. Oh.
and he accidentally ruptured his rectum. And he didn't know how, he was so embarrassed, he didn't know how to explain it. And imagine that awkward conversation. I'm like, I had to go online, figure out what this thing was, and then I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that could probably do that. And yeah, he had to go to surgery. Oh. But it gets back to you get these majorly bizarre manifestations of illness, and a lot of it involves parts that are embarrassing, whether it's the vagina or the rectum or the...
Another one you've all heard of, an extra nipple areola, and you can have one of those anywhere from your breast down onto your chest and down to your abdomen, which I see all the time. It's not that big a deal, but for somebody, I mean, that can be
really embarrassing.
very embarrassing.
And I see that in kids too, because it's something you're born with, and sometimes it might not even look like a nipple, but it might be just a little nubbin or even a mole in that mammary line. I always tell the parents, don't tell the kids what it is. Because if when they're 5, 6, 7, junior high, if they know what that is, just tell them it's a mole. We'll let them deal with it when they're older and can handle the embarrassment.
Well,
And then they go, boy, that mole feels pretty good.
and speaking of breasts, those are so. And
You know what you need for that?
speaking of breasts, how many breastfeeding mothers have gone back to work and you hear something or a noise reminds you of your baby, and then next thing you know, you're just leaking all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that can be really embarrassing. Yeah, you just start.
You hear another baby
pouring.
cry. It's not even your own baby.
No,
and
I was my
start
first
leaking.
day. I stopped breastfeeding Daniel when he was 10 months, and I started my first day of my general surgery rotation in med school, and I had all guys around me, just like you guys now, and we were rounding, and they just went. It's just like.
What do? You just say...
It's like you go find something, and you stick it in your bra, and you go find another pair of scrubs.